I want you to imagine something. Imagine that somewhere inside of you, there's a room. And when you were born, that room was almost empty, not completely empty. Your parents had already placed a few things inside. Kind of like when you get your first move out and your parents lovingly give you all the furniture they don't want anymore. You know, that old chair, the lamp that's maybe a little crooked, the dishes that somehow survived 30 years. Maybe even a doily that belonged to your great-grandmother. Some of it is beautiful, and some of it's useful. Some of it probably should have been taken to the dump years ago. And that's what they had, so that's what they gave you. Then life happened. Every time someone told you to stop crying, you tossed it in the room. Every heartbreak, into the room. Every I'm not enough, into the room. Every trophy that convinced you that your worth came from achievement, into the room. Every criticism, every fear, every disappointment, every identity, every success, every single failure. You'd crack that door open just a little bit and throw it inside and then slam that door shut and keep on living, because that's what we all do. Until one day, something happens. Maybe it's burnout. Maybe it's divorce. Maybe it's becoming a parent. Maybe your body starts whispering or screaming that something has to change. Maybe you read a book, listen to a podcast, walk into a therapist's office, or maybe you simply become so exhausted from carrying all of that so long that you had to ask, what is really going on? And someone turns on the light. Holy shit, look at this room. The first thing most people feel isn't freedom. It's overwhelm. And that's exactly where I want us to begin today. Hello, and welcome back to the Aligned Human Project. If you're new here, my name is Dawn Elgin. I'm the creator of Field and Form, the 12 Laws of Co-Creation, and my work is about helping people move from survival mindsets to alignment mindsets so they can consciously create lives that feel as good on the inside as they look on the outside. Last week, we began a new chapter together. We talked about the difference between awareness and alignment. I shared something that has become one of my foundational teachings of my work. Awareness allows us to observe. Alignment allows us to participate. Because you don't change your life when you become aware. You change your life when awareness changes your next choice. So today, I want to show you what awareness actually feels like. It feels like turning on the light in that room. And once you've seen the room, you can never pretend it isn't there. That's why awareness often feels far heavier than it feels lighter. Not because awareness created the burden, because it revealed the burden that was already there. And here's the beautiful news. You don't have to clean the room today. You don't even have to know where to begin. You just have to keep the light on. I think one of the biggest mistakes we make on the healing journey is believing that awareness means we should immediately fix everything. So we open the door, we turn on the light, we take a look around, and we panic. Oh my God, where do I even start? Have you ever cleaned out a garage or maybe a basement, the attic of the old family house, or a closet that's been collecting stuff for 20 years? The first reaction is almost always the same. This is too much. So what do most people do? They close the door. And here's the problem. Before awareness, closing the door worked because you didn't know what was inside. But once the light has been turned on, you can't unknow it. Every time you walk past that door, you know what's waiting inside. And that creates tension, not because you're failing, because awareness naturally creates responsibility. You now know there's something asking for your attention. And that's why so many people mistake awareness for suffering. It's not. Awareness simply invites us into a relationship with what we've been unconsciously carrying. The room didn't become cluttered overnight. It won't become clear overnight either. And that's okay. Because alignment isn't about cleaning the whole room. It's about choosing one thing. Just one thing today. Then one thing tomorrow. And one thing after that. That's how real transformation happens. Not through dramatic breakthroughs, but through thousands of ordinary choices made with extraordinary presence. So, where do we begin? This is where I think we've made healing far more complicated than it needs to be. The moment people become aware, they think they have to deal with the biggest thing first, the deepest trauma, the hardest conversation, the person who hurt them the most. It's like walking into that room, seeing absolute chaos and saying, today, I'm going to clean the whole thing. No, you're not. You're going to burn yourself out before lunch. Healing was never meant to happen this way. So let me borrow a question from someone who has helped millions of people clear their homes. Marie Kondo became famous for one simple question. Does this spark joy? I absolutely love that question. Not because we're organizing closets, because it's an incredible place to begin organizing our inner world. Imagine standing in your room, probably actually the doorway, and you pick something up. Maybe it's an old belief. Maybe it's a belief that you're not enough. Maybe it's the belief that you have to earn love. Maybe it's the belief that asking for help makes you weak. Maybe it's the belief that you always have to be the strong one. You just hold it in your hands for a moment and simply ask, does keeping this make my life lighter? Does carrying this help me climb? Does it spark joy? If the answer is no, or even maybe, it's time to let it go. Not because it's bad, because it no longer belongs in the life that you are creating. That feels a whole lot gentler than trying to fix yourself, doesn't it? Then you pick up something else. It's a little doily. It's old. It's delicate. It belonged to your great-great-grandmother. Immediately you think, oh, I can't get rid of this. This was grandma's. This is our history, our ancestry. And isn't that what we do? We inherit our beliefs, ways of thinking, ways of loving, ways of worrying, ways of surviving. And somewhere along the way, we start believing if it came from my family, I have to keep it. But what if that's not true? What if honoring your ancestors doesn't mean carrying everything that they carried? What if honoring them means becoming free enough to put some of it down? I want you to imagine something. You're standing there, holding that little doily, and you feel guilty, maybe disloyal. You wonder if letting it go somehow means letting go of great-great-grandmother. Then imagine she walks into the room and she smiles, looks at you with all the love in the world, and says, Sweetheart, I'm not in the doily. Keep my kindness. Keep my laughter. Keep my resilience. Keep my recipes, if they're any good. Keep the love that I gave you. But don't carry my fear. Don't carry my scarcity. Don't carry the belief that life has to be hard. Don't carry the shame that I never knew how to release. Honor me by living more freely than I was ever able to. I don't know about you, but that thought brings me so much peace. Because I think every generation dreams that the next generation will climb just a little bit higher. Not by carrying more, but by carrying less. There's something fascinating happening in your brain while we're having this conversation. Your brain naturally organizes experiences into patterns. Psychologists often call these schemas. Think of them as a mental filing system. Every experience you've ever had has been sorted and stored. Some of these files are incredibly useful, like how to ride a bike, how to drive a car, how to speak your language. But some files contain conclusions you reached when you were 5 years old, like, I'm too much, or I'm not enough. I have to be perfect. I can't trust people. I'm only lovable when I perform. The remarkable thing is that your brain doesn't constantly ask whether these conclusions are still true. It simply asks, have these beliefs helped me survive? And if the answer is yes, it keeps them. Not because they're accurate, because they're familiar. That's why I don't believe healing is about becoming someone new. Healing is about becoming a wise curator of your own inner world. Looking at each belief, each story, each identity, and asking one question. Does this still belong in the room? That's alignment. Not judging the room, not blaming people who helped furnish it. Simply becoming conscious enough to choose what will remain. And just when you think you've made some progress, you notice something sitting quietly in the corner. Something you've walked past your entire life. A trunk, heavy, covered in dust. Maybe it's even locked. You don't remember putting it there. You don't even remember noticing it before now. But suddenly, you can't stop looking at it. And that's where I'd like to go next. You're standing in that room. The light is on. You've started letting go of obvious things. Maybe you've released a few old beliefs. Maybe you've put down some expectations that never belonged to you. That'd be a win. Maybe you've even thanked your great-grandmother and lovingly folded up the doily. You look around the room and you think, this doesn't seem so overwhelming anymore. Then, out of the corner of your eye, you notice something you've never really seen before. That old trunk. Old, heavy, covered in dust, and somehow you know it's always been there. You just weren't ready to see it. I think this is one of the greatest acts of compassion we can offer ourselves. We stop digging for our deepest wounds. Instead, we trust that life will reveal them when we're ready. I've watched people spend years trying to force themselves into healing. Done it myself. Trying to remember every painful experience. Trying to fix everything all at once. I don't believe that's how this works. I think healing is a co-creative relationship. You've become more aware, and life gently says, now you're ready for this. Not because you're stronger, Because you're softer. Because you've developed enough compassion to sit beside the trunk without running away or forcing it open. You simply sit. You take a breath and you lift the lid. And you begin removing one thing at a time. And that's enough. That is alignment. This approach isn't just spiritually wise. It's supported by what we know about our nervous system. When we become overwhelmed, our brain loses access to many of the functions that help us think clearly, regulate emotions, and make intentional choices. We move back into survival. Fight, flight, freeze, even fawn. That's why trying to heal everything at once even has the opposite effect. Your nervous system interprets it as another threat. But when we work on one pattern, one belief, one conversation, one trigger, our nervous system begins experiencing something remarkable: safety. And safety is where change becomes possible. This is why sustainable transformation rarely comes from dramatic breakthroughs. It comes from consistent experiences of safety, awareness, and conscious choice. Your brain slowly learns we don't have to survive this anymore. And with every new experience, the room becomes a little lighter, a little more spacious. So people often ask me, how do I know what to work on? My answer usually surprises them. Don't go looking. Invite it. So every morning before you begin your day, take one nice slow breath. You can jump over and do the heart coherence breath work just to get yourself into center. You can put your hand on your heart, come into your body, and simply say, show me what I'm ready to release today. Not everything, just today. Show me what's slowing me down. Show me what's blocking love. Show me what's no longer belongs in this room. Then go live your life. You'll be amazed. Someone will say something. A conversation will trigger you. You'll judge someone. Someone will judge you. You'll feel defensive or disappointed or hurt. And in that moment, instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Pause. Take the breath, feel your feet, and smile. And quietly whisper, or silently in your head, thank you. Because life just answered your prayer. The trigger wasn't the problem. The trigger became the flashlight. It illuminated the next thing that you're ready to release. That is co-creation. That's participating with life instead of fighting it. This is where the 5 elements become so beautiful. Every one of us has furnished the room a little differently. Some of us filled it with control, some of it with approval, some with responsibility, some with perfection, or maybe protection. Different furniture, same room. And here's what I hope you hear today. None of those survival strategies make you broken. They simply tell the story of how brilliantly your nervous system learned how to protect you. So thank it, love it, and then gently ask, does this still belong in the room? Does this spark joy? As we finish today, I want you to remember something. Your parents gave you the best furniture they had. Your grandparents did the same. Your ancestors handed down what was in their room. Some of it you'll keep forever. The courage, the generosity, the resilience, the humor, the compassion. Those are beautiful gifts. But the fear, the shame, the silence, the belief that you have to prove your worth, those were never meant to become family heirlooms. Your ancestors are not asking you to carry their suffering. I believe they're standing behind you, cheering you on, hoping you'll become the generation that lovingly sets it down, not because you love them less, because you finally love yourself enough to stop carrying what was never yours. I'd love to leave you with one question this week. When something gets triggered, when you notice an old pattern, don't ask, "What's wrong with me?" Instead, ask, "Does this still belong in the room?" And if the answer's no, you don't have to clean the whole room. Just choose one thing, one conversation, one belief, one reaction, one story, one act of courage. Because alignment isn't one giant decision. It's repeated practice of choosing from the witness rather than from the survival mind. One single choice at a time. The room isn't you. The trunk isn't you. The furniture isn't you. The stories aren't you. You are the one standing in the doorway, the one with the light, the one with freedom to choose. Awareness turns on the light. Alignment chooses what stays. Creation begins with the space that's left behind. The witness is the painter. The field of mind prepares the colors. The body holds the brush. The field organizes the stroke. Reality becomes the canvas. So today, don't try to paint the whole masterpiece. Just choose your next brushstroke. Because you are the witness. You shape the field, and the field shapes your life. I'll see you next week.